Afro Fish OG. What's good, everyone? Welcome to episode 19. The second season of the second season of Afro in the Know. I like calling it second seasons because it makes me feel important. Like it makes me feel like I'm actually doing something. Like I'm gonna have more seasons than The Simpsons by the time I'm done.
Just be in your 90s, still interviewing people. What's it like for a young buck these days with technology that streams for you?
Right, and then
back in my day, we had to actually sit in front of a camera.
That sounds amazing. At that point, they'll probably have like that nerve gear system, like in like Sword Art or something, where I can just like I'm doing all my interviews like in like cyberspace.
Yeah,
like my body's basically gone at this point.
Yeah, that's what they did to Walt, right? They froze him. And then
they froze
him. Put some AI body at some point. That's what we're gonna do.
Just put their head
just put their brain head in the jar. Hell yeah, dude.
Oh man, that's when Nixon became president in that one.
Yeah, Nixon became president again. I'm surprised they didn't go with Reagan, honestly. After learning my history and how much shit Reagan fucked up, I'm surprised they didn't use Reagan for the joke.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. Well, I mean, back then they were probably like Nixon was the worst. So then there was like, hey, what about Reagan? We already put in Nixon.
He's already here, man. We just got to deal with it.
But I got my co-host today. I got Jojo, just chilling. Special guest. What's good?
Everything's honestly looking better in 2026 for real.
That's awesome. That's honestly for everything that's going on in 2026. That's a fucking definite upside.
Yeah, no, January was pretty dog shit, but I was telling my mom yesterday, I was like, man, I'm glad I stuck it through. It's been solid.
For awesome. Real. No, it's love to hear that. So for the people, I always start off with, for the people who might not, might not have seen your content or know who you are, the floor is yours here. Just to kind of give a bit, say, what you all about.
So so hard to pin down these days, man, because like it used to be. I'm a DVD creator who tells dick jokes on the internet. But I quit Dead by Daylight. I still tell dick jokes on the internet. But I guess you would consider me a political social commentator / Overwatch. Because I do both at the same time. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like my whole that's my whole thing. Is just I am not afraid. I want to talk about Overwatch because I love the game, but I'm also not afraid to talk about social issues or my opinions because I hate when streamers like shy away from that shit. And I basically went viral off of a clip where someone said, finally a Overwatch streamer who's not political. And I was like, oh, my bad. I'm sorry that I gave you that impression. We're gonna fix that. And then I fucking went ape shit, and people really like that apparently. But yeah,
I saw that one too. Where like you get that every once. I had a person a couple weeks ago come into my live, and I said something about it was like just women make the gaming space better, right? Mm-hmm. And he was like, he just turned into one big insult, talking about like, oh well, what about this one time this person made like made bad comments about me, and like nobody talks about it from the men's side. And I was like, well, we're not. There we go.
I was there the whole time. I'm sorry I had to wait until you went live, but the idea struck me as your intro was going.
No,
I was like, sense. Oh, I could make something real quick for you.
I love it too. I love it. And that's the thing. It was like, it was so weird because I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, what about the men's side? Like, what? I'm not even talking about that. Like, yeah, I'm not talking about that. So like, he's like, yeah, but like, when I was playing World of Warcraft, we had this, community guild thing, and people came in and ruined it. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry that your experience was bad.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like it's. I don't know, man. I feel like there's too much. What about me? What about this? Like
Yeah.
I do, because I'm a fat man, or I'm fat mask. I'm non-binary, but I'm fat AMAB. I talk a lot about the fat male experience and how we often feel like, it's we feel a lot like people don't like us for us, right? We
Mhm.
feel a lot like we're a trend. We're a way for people to be like, actually, I love fat men. And then they show a guy that's got like a little spare tire, right? They don't show a 300-pound, dude walking around. They show the 212-pound Chris Pratt from Parks and Rec or fucking whatever.
Right.
I talk a lot about that. I try to tell people, like, y'all need to understand why so many fat men feel unloved and unappreciated, because even when we do get into relationships, it's never I love you because you're fat, or I love you with your fat. It's always I love you in spite of you being fat.
Mm.
So I try to tell people that, and then I always get a bunch of people, well, actually, I love fat men. Okay, great. I'm not talking about you, am I? Like, obviously, this isn't fucking about you then. Okay. If you love fat dude titties and being buried in 400-pound men's stomachs, then you're not the part of the conversation that we're talking about.
Exactly. No, exactly. And it's the same thing. I made a video about well, it was with another podcast. We were just talking about like Baldur's Gate, right? We're talking about Baldur's Gate 3, and like have the different types of people that you have to play with, right? And it's like he's like, you can't have a loot goblin with someone who doesn't want to do any kind of loot stuff and just wants to streamline the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it made sense. It's like, okay, that's true. And we got so many people, especially on the one on Insta, it was just there's so many people sitting there being like, well, when I played it, we had different types. And I'm like, okay, that's great for you.
I'm so happy you've inserted yourself into a conversation that had nothing to do with you. My bad, brother.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the things is, like you mentioned, like people want to feel included. So they have a tendency to insert themselves into places. When I use the same thing when I say, women make the gaming space better. And I'm just like, and someone else be like, well, how do they? I'm like, okay, well, I mean, well, if it's on the screen, behind the screen, in leadership positions, we have, yeah, but like gives me like one specific, like, a specific instance of where they don't. And I'm like, oh, okay, like that doesn't disprove anything. Like your bit of evidence, I mean, we could really get into how men make the gaming space worse. If you really want to get into that.
Yeah, but I could give you a 5-hour rant on that one.
Right, but I don't want to do that because to be honest, I want to keep it as positive as possible. Mm-hmm. So like if that alone, if that statement alone makes you feel like, oh, he's saying that they're better than me, then that's something you need to recheck, because it's not competition, it's collaboration.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, every art form on the planet benefits from different perspectives, different walks of life. And that's kind of like what pisses me off about the whole anti-woke, anti-diversity, sweet baby ink bullshit, is that I have never seen a video game or a piece of art that books, movies, TV shows, whatever, that has not benefited from having multiple people from multiple walks of life. Like it's like, for me, I recently finished a novel. I wrote a murder mystery set in 1900s New Orleans, and the main protagonist is a black woman. I'm very obviously not a black woman. And so I have recruited probably about 10 of them to read it and tell me, if I represented them correctly, because we don't have enough black women as protagonists in general. They're just not, they're just not there. And also, I have never seen a black person be a protagonist in a murder mystery novel, much less a black woman. So I wanted, I've always been of the idea, if we don't have it, make it. Yeah. If we don't have what you want to see, make it. I want to see black women represented, so I made it. But I'm also not stupid enough to think that I, as a white male, can represent their experiences accurately without consorting with them. And so every time I hear these people go off on this stupid ass fucking rant, why are women invading our video game? Because there's women in the video games. And I do not trust men to write the women accurately without further input from the women.
No, that's fair. We've seen this. We've seen this in other media all the time of women who don't get written well, and so yes, it was smart also to ask multiple other women, especially women of color, about this, like about this the novel that you wrote. Be like, hey, does this work? Um, and that's just smart. That's just a smart idea. Like I will never in my brain will never understand the fact of having you have to feel that one up. That's the thing. It's that feeling of having to be a one up.
Yeah.
Having to feel special, having to feel like, well, I didn't have to worry about because you were already the default character.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, that's what I was talking about. I actually saw I don't know if you've ever seen him. His name is DQ Roman on
Yep.
TikTok.
Yeah.
I love DQ. My favorite was when everybody found out he was a white guy. Like I think all of us were fucking shocked. But he was talking about, yeah, DQ's white. He did a cooking video and showed his hands. He's white.
That's crazy.
That's fucking it, isn't it, bro? But he did a video in response to like Asmongold at some point where Asmon, dusty ass fucking gremlin motherfucker was like, I loathe Asmongold, dude. But Asmon was like, oh, it's pandering. All these, he was talking about South of Midnight. He was like, it's pandering. And DQ was like, yeah, of course it is. But we as white guys have been pandered to our whole fucking lives. I think it's time for other people to get the pandering. I think it's time for everybody else to get the shit. And I agree. Fuck it, man. I don't care.
I mean, no, I agree with that. Like, I mean, you think about like through how many, I mean, even when you look at any kind of video games, and more likely when they have a chance to create a character, the created character is going to be stereotypical white male. So like, but even a game like South of Midnight, which is based around like Louisiana myth, like urban Louisiana kind of mythology.
Yep.
Like having a black woman in there as the lead is makes sense, especially for an area like Louisiana. So like it's so bullshit. Oh, it bothers me because it really actually it gives off the what about me and shit issue.
It does. And as a Cajun myself, I was born and raised in South Louisiana. As a Cajun myself, it's so good to see my culture represented that isn't voodoo man kill everybody. It's something that like I learned voodoo from some very devout practitioners, with the caveat that I could never share my knowledge without explicit permission from her, and unfortunately she passed away. But the thing is that the thing that I learned in the voodoo culture is there are bad people who practice it. There are good people who practice it, just like every other religion. So I don't think that it's necessarily harmful to have voodoo in a negative light, but I also think that positive voodoo is heavily underrepresented.
Is voodoo considered like kind of a religion?
It is. It's a religion. It's a cultural practice and religion. Okay. I kind of conflate the two. It does have its religious tendencies. Louisiana voodoo specifically is very heavily influenced by paganism and Catholicism, just because of the historical roots. So there's a difference between Louisiana Nolans voodoo and voodoo from like the African countries. I don't know much about that voodoo. But for Louisiana voodoo, it was very if you read up the story of Marie Laveau, probably the most famous voodoo queen in history. Yeah. If you read up on her history, she was a kind of like non-Christian pagan practicing type of person where she combined the elements of voodoo and traditional Catholicism religion and kind of created something new that we as a culture down there still utilize to this day. But it's all about positive and negative representation. Back to what we were saying earlier, you have to have people in that room with the experience you're trying to write.
Right.
You cannot write if you want to write. I didn't play South of Midnight. I haven't gotten a chance to. I'm kind of a broke bitch. But I plan on playing it because just of its connection to my culture. So I don't know how well it represents us, but I have heard good things from people from back home that have played it.
Mhm.
And so you can't write a game like South of Midnight or a story like South of Midnight and not have someone who is Cajun, who is Creole, who did grow up with that culture in the room with you. Because
No.
what do you get? One of my mom's biggest pet peeves. We live in Kansas now, unfortunately. One of my mom's biggest pet peeves is every time we see a quote unquote Cajun recipe, and it's just they fuck it up, or they throw a whole bunch of spices on it. They think you just sprinkle some satcheries and, oh, we've got Cajun fries now. What the fuck is a Cajun fry? Like I saw something the other day called a Cajun egg roll. I said, what the fuck is a Cajun egg roll? That we don't do egg rolls.
That
And
don't even sound good.
yeah, exactly. And so that is every time I see something like that, I'm reminded this is a person who doesn't know shit. They looked up a Cajun recipe and thought you could just translate the seasonings to something else and then call it Cajun. And
No,
that's just disrespectful to the culture. It's
that's
disrespectful to us.
that's the same type of people. That's the same type of people that go to like the Taco Bell and are like, I'm here to get Mexican food.
Yeah.
No, the fuck you're not.
No, you're here to get ground beef that's so greasy you'll shit your guts up for 3 days. That's what you're here to get. And that's fine. I'm down. I get it.
You
from
want
time
the
to
colon
time as well.
cleanser? Or do you want the colon cleanser deluxe with a Sprite?
That's why I always hate when I say, oh, I'm going to Taco Bell. But they're not authentic. I'm not going for authenticity, Karen. I'm going because it's 3 a.m. I'm drunk and I want something that's going to fill me up for $2.
Exactly. Like I have probably been to Taco Bell maybe like 6 times my entire life. Like I just have no reason to go. Every time I pass there, I'm like, I can make better on my own. And so
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm drunk or not. I will make drunk tacos, and those tacos will still be better than what they're gonna cook up with.
It's honestly, like, for me, I had to slow down on fast food. I actually proud of myself. I've lost 30 pounds since January. It's been pretty sick.
Congrats.
I had to slow down on fast food though, dude, because that grease is just fuck me, dude. I can't take all that grease.
It is. It's like, and the fact of like, it's not just like, like just Taco Bell or whatever. It hits on you too.
Mhm.
Like it creeps up with you, and then it also decides to like pick your wallet at the same time because that shit ain't cheap no more.
No, it's not, bro. I was talking about that. I went to Wendy's. I was craving a chicken sandwich, and I went to Wendy's because they've got honestly probably the best one outside of Popeyes. And I refuse to give my money to Chick-fil-A anymore. So I went to Wendy's, and it was like fucking like $12 for a chicken sandwich with a fry and a drink. And I'm like, I remember when you used to bring $20 to like a McDonald's and feed a family of 17. Like,
I mean, let's be even more real. Like at this point, I'm like, if the payment of my food costs more than the ticket I will get to steal it,
yeah. Yeah, dude.
I don't care no more. Like,
and also, like, it's like at this point, I if I'm gonna pay $20 for a meal at a restaurant, I'm just gonna go to a sit down restaurant.
Yeah.
And get better quality food and have somebody actually walk over to me and have like a nice building to eat it in instead of my fucking car, right? Like why would I go into a McDonald's that smells like diapers and regret and pay $15 for a meal? Instead, I could just like go down to my local bistro and dive bar and, talk with people I actually enjoy talking to and get a burger that's 10 times the quality for the same fucking price. And that includes the tip.
That's fair. That's fair. My only counter to that would be like, I remember when I was a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the McDonald's had those big play places, but they had the little video game section, right?
Oh God, I
would sit there. I could be an adult now and sit there and like be like, "What are you doing?" I'm playing Sonic Adventure 2.
Dude, we used to. So I think you and I might be similar in age from looking at you. I'm 32.
Yeah, I'm 34.
Yeah. So we when I was growing up, from the ages of about I'd say 9 or 10 to 17, I lived right across the street from a McDonald's. And so I would walk over there all the time to play on the consoles and stuff. And the managers knew me and they knew my mom. And there would be a few nights where they would be getting ready to close and I would refuse to leave. And so they would send one of the workers across the street to get my mom to come get me. That shit, bro. But they don't have that anymore, man. They just, if McDonald's still had that, it'd be a great place to build memories for your kids. But like nowadays, I'm never going to have kids. I have a lot of personal reasons for that, mostly because I find kids fucking annoying and I could never do that to a child. You know, I could never.
Fair.
So if I ever had kids, I would much rather teach them the value in sit down restaurants if they're going to just pay the same price as a fast food restaurant,
especially the local ones. You know what I mean? Like I want, like, I have a kid on the way, and
oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm excited. One thing is to teach him just, you know, basically cook, because I'm going to be the stay-at-home parent. So like I'm like, we're gonna learn. I'm teaching my kid how to make food, all that stuff on their own. So like, one, they don't got to be one of those people to be like, I don't cook it, I don't clean. No, I want my kid to be like, to whip up something. So then when their partner shows up and they're like, damn, that's what you can make. I'm sitting there being like, I taught him well.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I want to be that like whole, like, I want to be the sensei, right? Like I'm like, you don't call me dad no more, you call me sensei. And so like but I want him to I'm really excited because I want him to learn the value of all that, you know, the value of hard work, value of, you know, doing what needs to be done. But I'm like, you know what? Every once in a while, yes, we will go to McDonald's, but I'm not gonna lie to you. It's gonna be like on a shoestring budget. Like you getting one burger, I'm getting 3 burgers, okay? Because I gotta take care of you, so I gotta balance out the cost.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna teach you about trickle down economics.
Oh, but teach you about the lie, bro. I get more. I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna get more from me getting more, but you won't.
Like, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Now hurry up and finish your fries.
Yeah. Yes. And then when you're 30, you'll ask why you have to be here, just like I ask why I have to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited. My wife's like, wow. I'm like, because I can see our kid being like a pro athlete, and I'm gonna be such that proud father watching them get drafted. She's like, but what if he like becomes like a doctor? Then I'll be sitting in that thing, watching that little stand, watching him. I had to go watch you. So like,
one of my favorite bits. I forget I think it's John Goodman. It might not be John Goodman. It's the guy who plays Bob on Bob Hart's Abishola.
Okay.
I forget his name. But one of my favorite stand-up bits is the thing about his kid where somebody was like, what if he's gay? What am I going to do? Yell do-over? I'll just be going to ballet instead of football. But I tell you what, I'm not changing. I'm going to root at the ballet like I rooted the football game. You call that a pirouette? Get your fucking head in the game. And like, I love that bit so much because it makes me think, I wish more fathers were like that. I wish more parents were like that. You know, like when I was growing up, at 9 years old, I told my mom I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. And most parents would just be like, oh my fucking God, bro, there's no, you know. Right. And so, but her and my dad and my granny, they would go out of their way. They like bought me all these different, you know, stand-up comedy DVDs or I could watch them. And then they, you know, books on comedy and public speaking and all of this other stuff. And so I like honed the skill from a young age because my parents actually gave a shit about what I wanted to be. And I think that that's missing in a lot in today's culture. Parents want their kids to follow their dreams instead of the kids' dreams. And it's just so depressing, man.
No, I agree with that. I agree with it. Like that does happen a lot where a lot of parents are just like, well, I mean, just we want to find something that's more realistic. Me making it to 20 might not be realistic. So like, let's
slow down for a bit.
Yeah, let's figure this out. But I do think when, you know, when I hear parents who are like, I don't know if this is a good career for you, like just go and do it. Like I think the thing is like your dreams only happen once, and that opportunity does only knock once.
Yeah.
Like it's rare that it happens one more time. So it's like, go. That's why I felt even with this, like with the podcast I'm doing now. I would have done this in my 20s if I really like wasn't fucking dumb. But like if I was, you know, I would have done so much more, you know. But it's like here I am now in my 30s doing it.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think too, like, society has taught us that your 20s are where you're supposed to figure everything out. And it's not. I think your 30s is where we're supposed to figure everything out. We live till we're fucking like 80, dude. Like,
mhm.
why am I like picking a career in my 20s?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I just switched. I was going for creative writing course, like a major English, or, English creative writing.
Hmm.
But I switched over to, because I love doing this so much more, is this to communications. Um, with things with a concentration in new media, and I'm like, hell yeah! Like this kind of stuff is something you won't figure it out right away from the start, and
Yeah.
that's okay. It's okay to not figure it out. Like, as long as you keep going, and at least keep trying.
Hmm.
That's the biggest thing. Keep trying. Like, I mean, I see that from content creators all the time, where it doesn't work within the first 6 months to a year, then they just drop it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, did you really expect, when you're basically a business, to
Hmm.
that's what you're supposed to do? Like, in
Yeah.
6 months, then you just drop, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, because you don't have the confidence in yourself to do it. Learn to bank on yourself.
Yeah. It's when I was so currently I'm not very successful in content creation because I've completely moved away from Dead by Daylight. But when I was successful with Dead by Daylight, I would get people all the time like, how do I get started? What do I do? And I was like, just fucking just do it. It sounds generic and it sounds ridiculous, but like that video that you spent fucking 6 hours on, bros, don't scrap it. Put it up. People don't
Mhm.
watch it. Oh well, we do it. We try again with the next one. It's so easy. It's so easy to just like not like your own work. I
Oh
hate
my god.
so much of my own shit. Like there is a couple videos that I'm really proud of, but when I come back, when I go back and I look at my own stuff, I detest my own work. And there have been so many times where I've wasted countless hours making a video. Like I'm talking like 20, 30 hours making one video. And then I just scrap it because I don't like the way it's turning out.
Mhm.
And I have to remind myself that that's not the way you do it because you never know what's gonna go, insane. Like that clip that I went viral off of that led to you and I meeting, with the "You're Not a Political Streamer." I posted that on a whim. I didn't think that shit was going to hit fucking like 2 point something million views at this point. I didn't
No.
think that shit was going to go mega viral. I thought it was going to be seen by a couple hundred people because I've been in like 200 view jail from TikTok for fucking ages.
Yeah,
Um,
same.
I thought that shit was going to hit like 200 people and I was going to get maybe one follower out of it. And then I was going to move on and continue making content. And instead, I went from 15K to over almost 35K followers on TikTok from that. And my YouTube has skyrocketed by like over 100 subscribers, which is insane considering the fact I haven't really gained any subscribers over the past year. So it's something that I just tell people just fucking do it and keep
Yeah.
doing it as long as you love doing it. Now, if you hate it, if you find you don't like the hobby, then yeah, go find something else. But don't think, oh, 5 videos in a row have gotten less than 100 views. What am I even doing? You're making 5 videos in a row. That's what you're doing. And now you're going to
Mhm.
make a sixth one and you're going to do it better and you're going to rewatch your own shit. You're going to figure out what you like and what you don't like and what you would watch. Because if you're not watching your own content, why are other people? So
Exactly.
make sure,
That's
you know,
fucking true. Like, if you're not, yeah, you're gonna critique your own content. It's gonna be fine. But finding enjoyment, like, one of the things that I like, for me, I always find is difficult is when I'm going to go make a video. It's like, so I've been making videos about like games from the state of play that happened earlier,
mhm.
and but I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm behind on it. I'm not talking about stuff right now. I'm kind of going at my own pace with it. But like, I went and I talked about one about the God of War, and I sat there and I was like, I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about God of War. And like, I don't think it's a bad studio or a bad game or anything like
Mhm.
that. I was just like, I don't know. Well, it's like, cool. Like, if you guys like it, yeah, awesome. I'm so happy for y'all. Anyways, like this just is, it's kind of just fuck whatever for me. And
Yeah.
so, but I know for a fact that I want to get that video out there because at least there's gonna be people who are gonna connect with it. It's same thing with GTA. Like, I'm gonna make a video being like, I just don't like. I'm glad for people who are fine with GTA 6. I'm just not one of those people.
Yeah. I genuinely, I've always been a more Saints Row person over GTA.
Oh, dude, I've had fun with Saints Row, the 2022 one.
I need
Like,
to actually play it.
it's not great, but it's fun. Like, and that's the thing. Like, it's not great. It's not fucking anything fantastic. Like, I was like, there's definitely issues with this game, but I like it, and I'm having fun with it.
Dude, I think that the opinions on media in general are so feast or famine these days. I don't get it. I don't get why people just can't say, yeah, it's all right. Like, why does everything either have to be dog shit or the greatest masterpiece since fucking Citizen Kane?
I think people get right. I think it's because people can't they struggle to be able to articulate their points as to why. Mm-hmm. So what happens is they'll just be like, this is just mid. And then you're like, okay. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm a person who has never played this game before, and you're like, well, what does it mean? Well, it means that it's just whatever. Like that doesn't articulate like there's there's like 5 stats, right? There's graphics, there's gameplay, there's story, there's there's like sound or graphics, gameplay, story, sound design is a really huge thing because music is amazing for it, and just the overall like just having fun. Did you enjoy it? Yeah. And so like if I'm sitting there, these are just at least my critiques on it. And so like if I'm just overall I'm sitting there and you're just like, well, it's just okay. I'm like, I don't know what any of that means.
Yeah.
Like I don't need a book, but I need you to at least tell me like, hey, like I like I was playing Borderlands 3 again. And I was like, yeah, I like Borderlands 3. I also think the story for the most part is it's okay. There's nothing really that's gonna like wow you in there. I think the villains in there are kind of they suffer from the fact of being behind a character like Handsome Jack.
I detested Handsome Jack. I don't understand why people think he's a good character.
I think he's just such a piece. I love him because he's such a douche at first. Like he reminds me of very much of why I enjoy Gaston, right? I enjoy Gaston because Gaston doesn't start off necessarily as a villain. He's just a douchebag.
Yeah.
And so but he becomes that villain the further and further he stops getting what he wants. And Jack is the same way. He's just a douche because he's already at that top point.
I don't know if I agree because I think Gaston just has so much more charisma than Jack did. Like I feel like Jack is annoying for the sake of being annoying, right? Kind of like Claptrap in those games. Claptrap is annoying for the sake of being annoying. Jack is a dickhead for the sake of being a dickhead. Whereas Gaston, he's a dickhead because his own ego drives him toward being a dickhead. And I feel like he has just so much more charisma. And I've never got the hype around Jack as a villain.
I think that's why I get it from Jack is because he's a dick from being a dick. He's no different than any of the fucking CEOs we got now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's very much the same in that, except he's just more murderous. But
yeah,
that's the only difference. Like,
is he more murderous? I mean,
so like, when I see Jack and I'm just like, dude, I want to just punch him in the face. Like, that's what I want to do. I can't wait till I get to the point. And they drive it home constantly. I love the fact that he does in a bit have like temper tantrums when he just like something doesn't go right. He just kind of immediately snaps. But I think Jack's biggest problem is that they overused him.
Yeah, and that was kind of my problem is like from Borderlands 1 to Borderlands 2. In Borderlands 1, I didn't know who the villain was until the last 2 seconds of the game. No. Right? And then in Borderlands 2, Jack's job was to call you up every 10 seconds and interrupt your flow to call you an asshole and talk about a shit pony or whatever the fuck. Dude, and it was just
was great. I can't.
And it was just like every time he would call me, I'd be like, dude, please, like, could we make this like a chapter thing? Like, why do I got to hear his fucking voice again? And it got to the point where it was less, I want to kill this guy because he's a dick, and more, I want to kill this guy because he's a bad character. And I no longer, that opening in Borderlands 2 where Claptrap gets fried and the Surd I spend like an hour on that section just teabagging the fuck out of Claptrap and shooting his body over and over again. I hate Claptrap. Claptrap is my most hated fictional character in history. I cannot stand that fucking character from the fiber of my being. Hate that goddamn character.
When it comes to Jack, I think that's where, like I said, like we're 2, I think he's fine in 2, especially after like Roland gets shot. Right? Like when you start to mess with Angel, you start to see that. You see the mask really come off.
Yeah.
But what I loved about it is the fact that despite the mask coming off, he still keeps that core like, but you can see, you can feel or hear the difference in him. And that's just by I think it's Damon Clark, I think, who was the voice for him. Who
Yeah.
did a really good job of making it be like
voice actor was really good.
just menacing at that point. Like he would like he's like, yeah, nah, you fucking killed my daughter. Like I'm gonna take everything from you at this point. And I think that's why when I look at the Calypso twins in 3, I think they work for what they are. They're the Gen Z streamers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're the Gen Z streamers. I think the biggest problem with that with them was that they had a really interesting plot point in there when they were talking about Troy and Tyrene, especially after Troy gets powers. They killed off Maya, which pissed me off because that was my favorite character, but whatever. And once Troy gets the powers, we start to see this back and forth between them. Instead of that, but he still stayed loyal. I kind of wish there would have been a fight that broke out.
Yeah.
Between them. And actually, we got to see a bit of that fight between them because like Tyrene was getting not only like pissed, but also kind of like worried a bit when he started realizing how powerful he actually is. And that's why I think, could Troy have been the final villain? Sure. I think that what they should have done is actually Tyrene tries to leech off of Troy tries to leech off of her, and they merge into this like amalgamation of a siren.
That sounds like Borderlands, yeah.
Yeah, and so they end up becoming 2 sirens. Now it's like, oh, there's too many. No, now there's just this one, and they're both like almost fighting for control of the body while fighting you at the same time. However, during that time, they end up merging with, I think it's called the Destroyer, I think it is. And then they end up like merging with them, becoming this big monstrosity thing. So at this point, they're almost like, at this point, they're actually screaming for the Vault Hunters' help to like free them. And so I think that would have been really interesting. That would have been my like thing on it. But I think they work for what they are. They're annoying as fuck. If you know Gen Z humor, you're going to be like, damn, this is fucking annoying. Yeah. But there's no doubt that I think Borderlands 3 has some of the smoothest combat I've ever played in my entire life. Slide mechanics, all that other kind of stuff is just necessary for Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
And I think that's where when I got to 4, I played 4 and I played most of it single player, which kind of sucked, but like I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it as much as 3.
Yeah. And that brings us back to the nuance, because like I personally don't like Borderlands as a franchise. I don't like the gameplay. I don't like the looter shooter aspect. I don't like any of it. But at the same time, I feel like what a lot of people are missing that I have with Borderlands is I can see why people like it. Yeah. I can see why people enjoy it. It's just not for me. And I feel like so many people don't have the ability to separate those two viewpoints. Like, for example, I used to play Dead by Daylight and I used to make content around it. And I quit because the game has gotten atrocious and miserable. But I can see why people still play it. And I will never disparage someone for still liking it. I fucking hate the game. I hate what it's become. I hate what it's devolved into. The devs just, they have zero idea about how to balance anything. They seem to only care about one side. They just don't have any kind of nuance to the changes that they're making. They do a lot of spreadsheet balancing, which is the worst way to balance any live service game ever. They are very obsessed with getting as many licensed collaborations as they can instead of fixing the game. I just have all these problems with it. But if somebody's like, bro, I don't care, I just want to play Wesker from Resident Evil, then who am I to tell them that they're wrong? Right. And so when it comes to media, so many people don't know how to distinguish the difference between this is not for me and it's bad. And you can say it's bad and also say it's not for you. Those don't have to be mutually exclusive, but I also think that a lot of times people just conflate the two. And that's the problem with media analysis in general.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I had a live up saying that just because a game is not for you doesn't necessarily make it mad, and I will always stick to that. There's certain games that are just, like I said, GTA is one of them that is just not for me. Do I understand why people love it? Sure. I mean, I have GTA 5 on the Xbox One version. I fire that up every once in a while and just go drive around in there. Yeah. I'm not saying it's going to be anything great, but it's just like this GTA 6 thing. It's not on my bingo list.
Yeah.
you know. But it's like when you are okay with that and someone is not okay with it because they need to feel, I think it's a more of a feeling of validation.
Yeah. I mean, that's why people love top 10 lists, bro. And like the tier list, I was recording the tier list before we started this for Overwatch. That video is probably going to get more views than other videos I do because people want to be validated in their opinion. They want to see if the hero they think is absolute dog shit, I think is absolute dog. They don't care about who I am. They don't care that it's my opinion. They just want to see an opinion agree with theirs.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly.
That's all it ever is.
Oh yeah, and that's why those top 10 lists do so well, but also give in the most like ire from people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like it's over the dumbest things too. I mean, whether it's like anime, you see it all the time. You just have to ask someone like, "Who's the strongest?" And then they get full ass PhDs on why this is, and it's so crazy.
The power scaling community is so fun to watch from a distance.
Oh yeah, like you're sitting there watching them, being like, I want, like, y'all should be like, you guys could build the most ridiculous like skyscrapers, cities that could literally save everyone if only you did one thing. You told the other person that this person is stronger than you.
Yeah.
Like his ability to build like cities is better than yours because his mental fortitude is stronger.
Yeah.
That other guy is gonna be like, no, fuck you. And he will build that whole city by hand.
Bro, we could solve every cold case in this country if you somehow found a way to get power scalers to get in on it, because these motherfuckers will dig up the most obscure like quote from a creator of the media piece from like 25 years ago that was said on one blog in a website that doesn't exist anymore, and they'll be like, see, this is why this character is stronger. And I'm like, where the fuck did you find this shit?
That's why I don't know. Have you ever seen the anime Death Note?
I did not like Death Note, but yes, I have seen it.
You've seen it? Okay, cool. Because it is basically just what would happen if two power scalers went at each
other. Yeah, I agree.
Like,
I 100% agree, bro.
It's so crazy. And I think that's why that's why I love power scalers, because like I love watching power scaling. Like I'll do it a little bit myself.
Yeah.
You know, of course, like you're just like, when, you know, it's like even at myself, when someone's going up and is like, hey, I think that like Ash Ketchum can go beat up fucking Sailor Moon, and I'm like,
just remember that Sailor Moon no diffs Goku.
yeah, just remember that. Yeah, exactly. And they're like, it's true, man. Like I you know, it's like, oh, okay, you know, I'll just kind of like, if I don't care about it, I'll just tell you, okay, that's cool, and then just move on.
Yeah,
I know. I'm like, I know you're baiting me. Just fall for it, because I know if I do, I'm gonna be here for like the next hour.
The best power scaling debates to watch is anime characters versus comic book characters, because I don't think that anime fans understand how absolutely broken comic book characters are in general. Like they're absurd. They're
you have to put some real like, and like the thing is what it sucks about like the comic book characters is like they are, because what happens is a lot of times they'll just composite them.
Yeah.
So what happens is like they're like, well, I think that Goku could beat up Superman, and I was like,
Superman held up infinity. Are you sure
like,
about
what? Like what version? Like what version are we talking? Oh, any version. Okay. like all right, let's hold your roles for a second. And you know, and that's why I love those facts of like, I agree, watching power scalers from a distance. Like I'll scroll on TikTok and then I just hear them going back and forth about like, you know, who's stronger, Gojo or Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, yo, which one died?
I don't know yet. Don't spoil it.
Yeah.
Actually, it's really cool that, you know, we bring up JJK because it ties back to our nuance conversation. For me, I really like JJK, but I don't think that it provides anything more than a fun anime to watch.
Sometimes that's all I need.
Yeah. Like I one of my mods asked me, they were like, do you recommend JJK? I was like, if you want a deep, emotional, complex story, no. If you want some really cool fight scenes and some funny moments and the best himbo in fiction, which is Toto, yes.
I think I can agree with that. Like I think that it's a solid story, and I'm really liking the sequel series right now that's in the manga at the moment. There's a sequel series, so I don't know if that's really a spoiler. I guess I don't know if that's a spoiler. It's kind of like no, it's kind of like if I tell someone that hey, Boruto is a series that exists, and then they're like, oh, well, I didn't finish Naruto. Well, did you really expect Naruto to die in this series?
Yeah.
You know, so
this isn't redacted. I won't name the anime, but I'm sure everybody knows what anime I'm talking about. But yeah.
Is it, yeah. No, it's, I think Akame got killed, right?
Yeah, Akame did. I was thinking of Attack on Titan.
Oh yeah, Attack on Titan. Yeah, no, I was thinking Akame got killed. Like nobody survives. Like
yeah.
But like and that's the thing is like I think when it comes to like certain like shows like JJK, I tell people just have fun with it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Go have fun with it. Yes, I think there's some really cool moments in there, definitely. And I like some of the things, especially with the manga. I like some of the things that get done in the manga. What got me is like right now, Yuri Lowenthal. Oh, give me 1 second. I have to take this call.
Yep.
Let me just mute myself real quick. Woo! My college called and like I took a couple months off and is now coming back to it, so they make sure that everything's all lined up.
Oh no, real honestly.
Yeah, I'm excited. But no, I was saying is like thing with Jujutsu Kaisen what I love the most is I love like I do like the curse power system. I do like there's a lot of things that could do better with it. But overall, like I'm like if you guys have a fun time with it, I will never like dig into something and be like, I can't believe you watched this.
Right? Yeah.
Like
no, it's literally and that was just and that's what I tell people. I was like the story's good. I just don't think it's like deep and complex. I don't think it's the same kind of complexity as like Full Metal Alchemist, Attack on Titan, One Piece, these shows that just really do their best to provide you with like a super deep message and emotional trauma. And I mean, there's emotional trauma in JJK. It's every fucking where. Yeah. But I think you watch JJK for the fight power system more than it's similar to Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z has never had a good story. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to people who like Dragon Ball Z. It's never had a good story. It's always been a string of excuses for the characters to fight either beside each other or with each other. And that's fine. I'm not dogging on that. I just want people to recognize that in my opinion, in my viewpoint, Dragon Ball Z has never had a good story. It's just, what is the next big villain? And is Goku going to beat him up? The answer is yes. How is he going to beat him up? He's going to power up some kind of way. He's going to unlock a new form. And that's great. I love that for y'all.
That's why I think it's such a good, like, baby's first anime.
It is. Yeah.
Like, it is such a good baby's first anime. That's why I put Naruto on that list, too, of just, like, baby's first anime. Go watch Naruto. Go enjoy it. Like, you're, I mean, and, like, I think things like Jujutsu Kaisen's another one on that list, too. I think some things like My Hero's another one on that list of, like, when you are young, go watch these ones, and then you'll see. Then you'll be like, oh, what should I watch next? How about Berserk? And then like,
let's go for
Be like,
yeah,
what is this? And I'm like, oh,
yeah. So I was when I watched Attack on Titan and the show finished, I sat there in silence for like 3 hours. I was just like, I couldn't believe what happened in that show, and I was like, oh my god, bro, this is one of the greatest pieces of fiction ever written.
I love whether it was just the Titans themselves, the stories behind it. I remember even way back when the show first aired, and I saw it right off the bat. Because what was I looking for? I was looking for something, and I put AT, and it was like Attack on Titan into Google, right? And I'm just like, what is this? Yeah. And so like you start going, and the first thing that I saw, it was the forest scene with the female Titan, the way they run into just crushing everybody, and I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck am I watching? And so now I'm like, now I have to go look it up. Yeah. So then I start looking up. I'm like, okay, Attack on Titan. So I watched right straight through. I finished the first season before like it came to the English. So like a lot of people didn't watch it. So the part would be like, oh my god, have you watched it? And I'm like, no. Yeah. So, but it was fun. It was an interesting show the entire time. I love the story of Eren Yeager and everything with it.
I like the fact that the show is not afraid to ask you what you would do in Eren's situation, and they don't make that choice easy.
No, they don't.
It's such a great show for asking you it's such a great show for questioning your own moral outlook on life, and shows that there are so many things in this world that aren't black and white. I mean, it discusses war trauma, it discusses racism, it discusses, what you would do with absolute power. It's my second favorite anime of all time.
And that's why I think it's really interesting when you watch a show like that and like you get to the end of it. And that was when I didn't understand why people were so like upset with the fact of what Eren says about Mikasa after when him and Armin are in that kind of like that mental link, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, dude, this makes like when a dude who's basically his past, present, and future are all slammed into his head at the same time.
Yeah.
He's so mentally gone that you're seeing is like you're really just witnessing child Eren talking through like a like late teenage Eren. And I think that's the thing that I really liked about those kind of moments. I'm like, I don't know how you guys just didn't get that. But like Eren is immature.
Yeah.
Like he is immature. He really has a really like extreme way of thinking things.
Yeah.
And like the thing is that this, despite the people around him, like Armin, like Mikasa, like even that's why I love Erwin so much. Erwin, Levi, Historia, it doesn't matter. Because when Eren's like all this, I mean, granted, we're watching this basically from the end in the beginning.
Yeah.
But like out of all of this, he had a choice to stop at any point and just kept on moving. Yeah. And that's why I'll keep going forward. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. And it leads to the ultimate fucking Rock'em Sock'em robot fight. But like it's just like, I'm not gonna lie, when they were finally able to like cut the head off of like fucking Leviathan Eren, and he just shows up as like two colossal titans, and I'm just like, I don't even care. This is like press square button and just smoking each other in the face. And I was like, well, it made me wonder, I'm like, what would I do if I was a Titan? I'm like, well, fuck, I only have 13 years to live, but I'm like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm going to a certain place and biting my hand.
Yeah. And it's just I was just so blown away with that deep complexity. But what I tell people all the time when it comes to consuming media is not everything has to be deep and complex. I mean, I really like the comparison of like why you watch certain animes to why you listen to certain music. Right? Like I hate the discussion. I don't know if you feel the same way. I hate the discussion about rap is quote unquote dying, or, all these rap songs aren't like about deep, complex issues and shit. I'm like, they don't all have to be. Ludacris was one of my favorite rappers growing up. That motherfucker didn't know how, he made one deep song. which was Runaway Love. Everything else was about partying, and we fucking liked it that way, you know. And I feel like music shouldn't have to. Not every song has to be a deep emotional story about the struggles of the artist. Sometimes I just want to pop bottles and fucking dance, and that's okay.
I agree with that. Like when I sit there and I listen to like not everything has to be deep, and I agree with that. If you can find it, there's a difference though, I think, between people who can acknowledge that and there's people who just do not know the difference.
Yeah.
They can't figure it. Like that's why they're like, well, JJK, I'll use JJK for example. JJK isn't deep at all. No, it's got deep moments. You just don't understand them.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you just don't understand it. So what happens is that they want it spoon-fed to them. We see this right now with Kirara. With Kirara being a trans woman. But like a lot of people are like, well, it doesn't say that she's a trans woman. Hakari says that he doesn't date men.
Yeah.
Panda in the manga says that the last time he knew Kirara was in middle school. He hasn't seen Kirara since.
Yeah.
So when he's surprised to see her at that point.
Yeah.
So like that was before the transition. And I think they mention it one more time too about it as well. And I'm like, yes, this is all. It doesn't have to be shoved in your face and walk up and be like, that's a trans person. No, like there's a reason why.
Yeah, and
you want to know, you can't figure it out. I'm sorry, that's on you.
Yep, and you want to know the kicker? Even when it is shoved in their face, they don't accept it. Like Yamato from One Piece. The most obvious example of a trans man who is still femme presenting, and you cannot convince transphobic One Piece fans that Yamato's pronouns are he, him, despite everything, bro. Literally, Kaido calls Yamato his son. People say he, him. Yamato straight up says, I am Kazuki Oden. Like everything points to this being a trans man, and they're still like, no, she got big titties though. Like, they're so fucking stupid, man.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's because a lot of those people don't want the whole like, oh my god, I goon to a man.
Yeah.
So it's like, but the sex says it's a female. Yeah, no one's ever denied that.
Yeah.
Yamato wouldn't even deny that. Yeah. But Yamato says that he's a man.
Exactly. And it's like, yeah, dude. And that gooning thing, bro, that's really it is. People are just so afraid of being considered gay. And it's like, dude, just embrace it, man. Just like I'm bisexual, so like I can't sit here and pretend like, oh, I'm straight, but but like it goes back to that classic the classic question, right? Like would you suck a dick for $1 million? And so many straight men are like, no, I would never do that. Like, bro, put your homophobia aside. It's $1 million. Just put the schmeat in your mouth and quit being fucking weird. Like,
fucking weird. Like, and that's it's $1 million.
Yeah. You know what I can do with $1 million?
I could do with $1 million.
You know what I could do with $10,000? Like, you understand?
I'm not lowering the price. I get that. And I 100% agree. Like it's fear of being considered gay. It's a fear of being gay, and obviously it comes down to a lot of reasons. The way that we, our society treats LGBT people, LGBTQIA plus people in general. It's how being gay is perceived as being like weak and stuff, which is so, when you really think about it, it's so fucking weird to even think about in the first place. Yeah. Like the people who are just literally just existing, and then someone else, like there was a dude, I forgot his name, but he was like he had a video and he's like, right now he's like, 2 dudes are fucking right now, like the hardest core stuff.
I saw that shit.
And he's just like, and you don't care because it doesn't even come around you.
Yeah.
You didn't even care until I thought about it. And now all of a sudden you're probably like, icky. Like, and I'm like, dude, this is it. That's why I don't get it. And that's why I also hate this one term I can't fucking stand is when it's not shoved in our faces. And I was like,
my God, bro.
Heterosexuality has been shoved in our faces repeatedly. Like, think about it for a person who is gay, or who might be someone who might be a lesbian or bisexual or whatever, and having to constantly see that over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
Never a person like them And so yeah, eventually it's going to fucking hurt. It's
Yeah.
going to hurt.
Well, it's like I tell the story all the time. Kind of a trigger warning for like mental problems and suicide and stuff like that. But I'm bisexual, and I grew up. My gay awakening was Shamar Moore in Criminal Minds. I was like 11, and I saw Shamar Moore, and I realized that I liked men as well. But bisexual representation basically doesn't exist, and didn't. You were either gay or you were straight, and gay people didn't really have that much representation, and so bisexual people didn't have that much representation. Like the in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Willow dates a man earlier in the show, and she's in love with a man earlier in the show, and then later on she's got a girlfriend and she's in love with the girl, and she was just like, I didn't realize that I didn't like men back then. And it's like, no, you did. You literally did. You were just bi. And so because of that lack of representation, I thought there was something inherently wrong with me. I thought that bi people didn't exist. I liked both. Nobody in media liked both. I didn't know what was going on. And it led to one of my very first attempts, because I thought I was broken. I was inherently broken. And that is the importance of representation. That's why I fight so hard for representation, even if it's not me being represented. Because there's going to be a kid out there who doesn't see themselves in media. They don't see themselves being represented. And they're going to wonder if there's something inherently wrong with them, when there's not. There's nothing wrong with them. But they're going to think that there is. And that sucks for kids, man. That sucks for grown adults.
Yeah,
it's absolutely infuriating.
It's why, like, I want to create a story basically kind of around like people my age, like the ones who felt lost, the one who feel like they don't, not that they don't fit, but it's like, dude, like, I just feel fucking, I don't know what the fuck to do, right? And like have a story about, it's a story about like a couple for sure, but one of them is very much success, like more successful. The guy is not. He doesn't really know what he wants, and then they end up getting into a fight, which leads them to basically, due to magic bullshit. No, still figuring that out. But they fuse together. Her soul fuses with him, and will completely eliminate him from existence, to the ultimate feeling of being unwanted, which just not exist anymore. And so it's like a race against the clock, pretty much, for her to get her body back. At the same time, her soul is overtaking his, which is eliminating him. And so it's I'm still working on like a lot of concepts. I just can't, you do like you just write to write kind of bullshit and just see what comes up. So I'm working on that. But I feel that, like, and I feel like that's why representation is important. That's why that one anime, I'm gonna tell you, that one anime, Tojima wants to be a Kamen Rider. That's why I was like, this is the show. This is the show for me. Okay. This is the show for that 30-year-old motherfucker who's like, I always want to be a superhero, and he just puts a mask on and fucking does it. I love that shit, but I agree, going back to it, a more serious take, like I agree that like going and the representation is so important for people, and it's not always just it's not always just skin tone. It's gender. It's for people with disabilities to see a person that is like them. You know what I mean?
It's like the whole wheelchairs don't belong in fantasy debate. Have you ever seen that stupid ass fucking debate discussion thing where like there's like a group of people, like I quote fantasy fans, who think that because magic exists, disabilities shouldn't exist in magical worlds? And everybody with like a brain cell is like, no, it should 100% exist. You can still have magic and not solve every issue with magic. In fact, if your magic system is solving every problem, it's a bad magic system.
Right. Exactly. Your magic system should never have to solve everything.
But it's like, people in wheelchairs deserve to see themselves in fantasy. They deserve to say, there's this like viral photo of a little girl with a birthmark on half of her face.
Yes, I saw that.
Seeing what's his name? Todoroki. Todoroki from My Hero Academia. She doesn't realize that the burn mark is a scar. She just sees someone who looks like her. And she's so in tears and loves the character. And I think that's so like imagine arguing to take that away from a child. Imagine arguing to steal that away from a kid, man.
When the Little Mermaid came through, and you saw all the videos of like little black kids both boys and girls watching Ariel under the, singing Under the Sea, or
Yeah.
no, Part of Your World, and like, and just how excited they were to go. And I'm like, that's what you want to take away of, because what the people who hate it are really worried about is that they're going to be inspired.
Yeah.
You want to strip the inspiration away from kids. Like, that is why people think you all are fucked up. That's why people think that, like, this whole, like, the anti woke crowd, or it just needs to be done right and not shoved it. Like, bro, there's a whole, like, they give you the same, when I hear them live, they give you the same fucking games too. They give games like Dragon Age: The Veilguard. They'll give games like fucking Overwatch. They'll give games like fucking Forspoken. And it's just like, well, it's just because it was shoved in our face. I'm like, you had no clue that Soldier 76 was gay until the fucking comic release that you didn't fucking read. You saw on a fucking video. You did not care. You didn't think about him. You didn't think about him at all until that happened.
Yeah, and it's always rooted in their own bigotry, and they'll try to tell you that it's not right. Like, so for example, like, just for a second, bringing up my novel again, self-promotion. No, I'm kidding. Bringing up my novel again. When I was writing it, I would make TikToks about it, and I would talk about like my process of trying to. Yes, Dax 76 is gay. Sorry, my mod is hilarious, but so my process through trying to make sure, because like one of my biggest fears when writing the book was I did not want to make the white characters who are with RJ, the main black woman, I didn't want to make them white saviors. That is the one thing I wanted to avoid. And as a white person, it's difficult to write white characters who are allied with her in the 1900s in the South without making them seem like white savior trope. And so I was talking about that, and I was talking about how I'm getting black women to read the book so that they can tell me, exactly, if they feel it represents them well, if they feel not only their experiences, but I also want to avoid things like the white savior trope. And there's this one guy. Yeah, there was this one guy in, Instagram comments who was like arguing back and forth with another person. And he was like, I'm not racist. I just think it's ridiculous that this guy is asking, blah, 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 blah. And then at the end of the quote unquote conversation, the guy goes, I just think it's stupid to ask permission to write and he just put the N-word. And it's just like, what happened to all that? I'm not racist.
Oh, you let them talk, and they will always out themselves
every fucking time, dude. Every time. It never fails.
It doesn't. It never fails. It never fails to let them eventually just hang themselves. Like, I didn't want to use that term, but that's what they do. You pretty much you put your bricks in your own ship, and then you watch it sink, and it's everybody else's fault.
Yeah.
And it's
just ridiculous.
It's the same thing as the fucking merit situation. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the people, I'm not saying that they're a problem.
Yeah.
But like, I'm like, how do I tell someone's race? I'm like, if one of the things you immediately say are like the blacks,
I
will immediately call you a racist. I am going to immediately call you a racist. Absolutely. I don't care what anybody thinks on that one. I was like, bro, like, you can't even say like black people. Like, you can't get to that point. So it's just like,
like, I've been on this earth for 32 years. I grew up in the South. I know you're racist. You can't hide that shit from me, bro.
And that's the thing. It's like, I don't waste my time with it. I'm not gonna go waste my time with you on that kind of stuff. I think it's good that you did that. If I was unsure about how to write people who are LGBT, I'm going to ask them about that. I have people in my corners that, that are always like that. You know what I mean? That are, hey, like, I don't know how to write this character, and I also, because of the fact that, like I said, in my story that I'm working on, so the more that his girlfriend's soul is inhabiting his body, of course, she's a witch in this one, right? So she's a witch. And so they can use magic together. There's a big like twist stuff that goes on with it or whatever. But as it's taking over, at first it starts with like she actually is able taking over his body until eventually when she fully, like, his body will transform back into hers. It's almost like a weight of immortality. But it will erase him from existence. And I don't want that to sound offensive to people. Like, I don't want to sound
Yeah.
offended. Is that offensive? And so I asked people in my group about it to be like, hey, is this offensive in it? Is this offensive? There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with sensitivity readers, like, to understand that. Like, they've been doing that for, like, I don't know, ever since that they had to be told to. But like,
ever since we were like, hey, maybe stop treating gay people like they're dog shit, and
right, like,
writing every
that's the thing
black
too.
woman
It's like,
as aggressive. I'm kind of getting tired of that.
and there's certain words that I also like hear too. Like when I said before, like when they just use like the blacks, but it's also like, well, it's just common sense or it's just reality. And I'm like, you're gonna have to explain that. Like, explain that to me. Like, you're gonna have to pull up some studies. We're gonna have to show that, because I had a whole thing. We're talking about people who are trans to another dude that was in his Discord.
Yeah.
And I just, it's not a hard debate. It's not a hard debate. But like, I was just like sitting there and I'm like going through, I'm like, this is like the reasons why. I gave all the reasons, like, why people think the way that, why they think the way they do. I'm like, I will give you like studies and stuff like that on how that brain works and how their brain works and how, just down the line like that. And I'm like, like, it's not hard, and it also, like, I get pissed off when someone tries to Google AI something. Like, I've Googled AI, like, small shit, like how to make certain foods. So, but like, I will never like Google AI like an actual debate topic.
Yeah. It's well, and it's like because I mean, AI is just like, I had a dude use AI in a debate against me one time, and I just stopped bothering, because it's like, brother, you're reading an AI summary, you're not actually looking up anything. And because what people don't realize, that AI summaries don't pull from like research papers and articles and actual like books. They pull from fucking Reddit and fucking Twitter and shit like that, where somebody just vaguely mentions the topic. And so it's just like, I'm not in the mood to, I say this all the time. I don't debate MAGA anymore. I just don't. I bully the fuck out of them and I move on, because there is no point in arguing with people who don't live in reality.
Yeah. I mean, they don't, they live in this self-delusion of victimhood and self-pity. And so like, when something happened, there's actually a really interesting, and I'll send it to you later, but it's a video of people during the 1960s when they were integrating people into schools. And this lady is just going off about how they're going to ruin the same fucking sentiment of what they say now is the same thing. And I'm like, so I favorited it, but I'm gonna post it up on like one of my like I'm actually probably just gonna download the whole video, but I'm going to like post it up and be like, this is what you sound like. Yeah, this is what you sound like. I was like, it's so pisses me off, because I'm like, and this is why I talk with my friend Jack all the time about this on Discord, but he's one of my mods. But we always talk about, I'm like, the thing that gets me mad is like, I'm like, y'all don't care about actually being racist. Yeah, you don't care about being bigots. You just don't want to be called it. Exactly, because being called it comes with a negative connotation. You just don't want the consequences for your actions. I was like, so what y'all are really just toddlers who are just pissed off at the fact that someone actually came around and said, hey, fuck you. Like, you can actually hold that shit accountable. Like, when they well, when they go after your jobs, I'm like, why are you saying racist shit then? Yeah. And it's like, it's so, I was talking with one of my friends, Lexia, about this on the phone. I said, one thing I've learned about being a white person who looks the way I do, because I'm not under any delusions. I know when people look at me, they think I'm one of those, right-wing loser fuckers, and that includes other right-wing loser fuckers. White people, I don't know if y'all know this for black people, but just, I'm gonna let you in on a secret. The racist white people are 10 times more racist around other white people. When they think y'all aren't listening, they are so comfortable with just being absolutely racist around us. And it's baffling. And so I was telling her, what normally happens with racists is they don't know the difference between saying something racist and being a racist, right? So when you say, hey, that thing was racist that you said, hey, this action holds racist connotations, they immediately equate that to them being racist, which ironically makes them more racist, right? So like, if a white person says the N-word because of whatever excuse, right? I grew up around it. I used to use the same excuses, and I'm glad I grew out of it. But they
they say the N-word and they're like, well, I grew up around it. I grew up around black people. My black friends don't care. Whatever, fucking spin the wheel, pull a answer out of a hat. When you explain to them, hey, it doesn't matter. The fact is that word still has historical context that hurts people. And you can not hurt people by just not saying it because it's a racist word for you to use. They take that and they immediately go, oh, you're calling me racist. I'm not racist. I love black people. Fuck you. Whereas if you actually cared about black people, and this is how it was explained to me, if you actually cared about black people, then you would stop using the fucking word. Yeah. And I hate that I have to argue with grown ass adults about this. I try to tell, I heard this phrase on Tumblr a long time ago. I don't know how to convince you to care about other people. I just don't. I don't. I have basic human empathy. And when someone tells me, hey, this thing you're doing is hurting someone, I stop doing that thing. Right. I don't know why that's so fucking hard.
Because, and it's like you mentioned, it's because they go into a straight defensive position. And it's because they cannot look out. There's a lot of people who cannot look outside of themselves. They struggle to look outside of themselves. They, when they're looking at it, it's like, well, but like when I see, you do it or I see someone else do it, why does it matter? And I knew a dude who used to do that. And I told him, like, just go out in the streets and do it then. If you want to say it so much, just go out in the streets and start saying it.
Yep.
I'm not going to stop you.
It's that famous news clip. What was that? The name?
Like you'll say it, I'll say it with you.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. If you want to say it so bad, say it.
Yeah.
It's just like it's so the way it was explained to me, because like I said, I'm not proud of it. I used to use the same excuses because my two best friends growing up were black. And I learned later in life that the reason they never stopped me was because they felt like the fight wasn't worth it. I didn't realize, like, after talking to a lot of black people with their white friends, like a lot of them, just don't think it's worth it to argue. So they'll just let their white friend do stupid shit, because what's the point in telling your white friend, hey, you're hurting me, if they're not going to care? Which hurts me that, my friends never thought that I would care. But the way it was explained to me by a coworker was, you've got 100 people in a room and there's a button, and you press that button and 50 of those people get shocked. Not a big shock, but it's enough of an uncomfortable situation. The other 50 people in those rooms don't, but they also don't care if you press the button or not. So why would you ever press the button? It doesn't benefit you. It only hurts people. And 50% of the people in that room don't care. And that's why I hate the, oh, my black friends let me say it. Oh, I've talked to black people who don't care argument, because it doesn't matter, because there are black people who care. So what the fuck are you doing?
Exactly. And so that's why, and it's the same way as, like, for the people who are like, well, my friends say it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's that same logic that, like, if you have 11 people on a table, right? At a table, and a Nazi walks in and sits at the table and nobody says anything about it, you have 12 Nazis.
Exactly.
And that's the thing, is that's why they just assume that it's okay or whatever. But, like, your friends, which I can't control your friends. I tell people I can't control your friends, but I do know I can control what you do around me.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you go up, and I've noticed this too, it's the same people who try to justify it in some regard, shape, or form, or they'll use well, nobody should. And I'm like, that's just taking it away because you can't say it.
Yeah.
This is literally the equivalent of being like, well, if I can't play with your Legos, then nobody can play with your Legos.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I have to put it in little kid terms because you guys are not smart enough to figure it out.
Yeah. And it's like, and for, like, bringing it into my own experience, I'm queer. So the F slur is very commonly used against my community, and they do the same shit. They do the same shit. They try to justify the slur in every way they can. I was playing a match of Overwatch. I actually have the video, the VOD up on YouTube. And this guy kept calling one of the other guys the F slur. And I was like, bro, you got to chill. Like, I think it's funny y'all are flaming each other and everything, but you got to chill. And he was like, oh, I don't mean that word to refer to gay people. I was like, it doesn't matter what you mean. I don't care.
Yeah,
they're using the South Park argument here, bro. I don't give a shit what you think. That word is still used. I had that word screamed at me when I was jumped in a parking lot after I came out as bi. Like, right. I don't give a shit what you think that word refers to. I know the history of that word. I know what it does to me and my people. So shut the fuck up.
No, that's so true, because it's like, You know, it's crazy when they use the same thing with woke too. But when I think, I don't give a fuck what you think. I
Mhm.
want you to tell me, like, why are you using it? What does it mean? Well, what I think it means, I don't give a fuck what you think it means. I will tell you what it means. And so eventually they just get pissed off and they usually just fuck off out of the life.
Yeah,
And I'm like, okay, cool.
the gentrification of the word woke has pissed me off so much.
Mhm.
Genuinely. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you good. No, you good.
It genuine. So when I first started hearing the word was in like 2000 and 2012, 2013 on Tumblr. And I was like, what the fuck is this stay woke? And so like any person should do, I looked it up. And I was like, oh, it's about staying aware. It's about making sure that you know what a microaggression is. It's about understanding how the government is, you know, working to put all of us against each other. It's all of these different things. And when I saw that, I was like, dude, that is, you know, I love that terminology. That makes, you know, it inspires me. I love revolutionary shit. I'm a very, like, when I say I'm deep into social justice activism, I am. I do a lot of things that I don't publicly announce because I don't care if people publicly announce the activism they do. I just don't feel like doing it. I'd rather do it in the sidelines. But I get inspired by that kind of shit. And so I loved it. And nowadays, woke went from meaning stay aware, stay conscious, always make sure you understand what the government is doing, what society is doing, what the systems are doing, and how that affects marginalized people, to there's a woman in my video game.
Yep.
I fucking hate the devolution of that word. And they did that shit on purpose.
Yeah, and that's why I just tell when people try to come into the lives and bring it up, and they're like, "Well, it's about leftist propaganda," and I'm like, "Where does it in the definition does it say leftist propaganda?"
What the
And
fuck?
I use it very like this that same kind of tone.
Yeah.
Just like, can you just explain what woke is? Well, it's just like it's trying to use trying to bring in things that are not true, and I'm like, well, you have to prove that these things aren't true. And the second thing then is that you can't just go and say something, because we live in an era right now that I'm not just going to take your word on something.
Yeah.
You know, we're not just going to take your word on something. You have to actually sit there and you have to prove what it is. And like, if you can't prove that, then your shit does not work.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and go be like, well, this is just how I feel about it. I don't care what you feel, because your feelings do not triumph like this. And that's probably one of the biggest problems right now, is that there's a lot of people who believe that their overall feelings will triumph over what actual, like, it's whatever statistical real data actually comes out.
Yeah.
Studies, whatever it is, you know. And it's like, well, these studies could be biased. Okay, cool. So start giving me some studies so I can go look up what you're talking about. Well, I don't have any. Okay, cool. Then you're just fucking lying.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it. You're just fucking lying. I'm not gonna sit here. I'm not gonna get mad at you. I'm gonna be a little disappointed, but I'm not gonna get mad at you. I'm just gonna sit there and just say that you're just fucking lying. And then I'm just gonna, usually, if I have a live especially, I'm just going to say that, and I'm going to kick you off my live. I don't care. I have no reason to care. Like, I put one of the things that we talked about earlier, and I'll wrap this one up pretty good because I think this shit's funny, is I put a thing up, and I'll probably do a live after this, being like, what do you guys like about the gaming community? What's something you love about the gaming community? Gaming and the community, I guess. And the person's like, well, there's not a lot to like about it right now. Like, my God, is that what I fucking asked?
Yeah.
like imagine being like your teacher's on a test is like, so what are we gonna, you know, I don't know, Billy over here. So what is the square root of 49? Well, I don't really like corn dogs, so I don't know why we're really talking about it.
Yeah, no, and yeah, like you said, it's like what we were talking about earlier. Like, bro, I didn't ask you that. We weren't talking. This happened on a fucking post that I made. I was gonna make a TikTok about it. I forgot to, but I made a video about this like woman who, you know, she had talked about she didn't have her boyfriend because her boyfriend passed away, and that's, you know, really sad. And some incel jumped into the comments and was like, don't worry guys, she's a woman, she'll have one in like 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, that's fucking weird. And so I talked about the dating pool and the misconception that women just are able to just find a date whenever they want, because I agree that there's less people lining up to date men than there are people lining up to date women. However, the comparison I used was a picture: a man and a woman are starving. The dating pool for men is being in the middle of the desert, looking for one goddamn cracker. There's no crackers, and you got to fucking scrounge to find one, and that cracker might not even be that great. And women are in the middle of a dump surrounded by rotten food. They're starving. They could technically eat the rotten food, but it's not good for them. And so that is where the misconception comes from. Like, yeah, this woman probably does have 14 guys that are ready to date her, but are they good people? Are they good to date her? And this fucking loser jumps in my comment section and leaves like a 6-paragraph comment about how I'm like victimizing women and women can be abusers too, and all this other shit. And I'm like, that's not what we were fucking talking about.
It's
like,
so much of a poor me bullshit. Like, it is such poor me. Like, the same dude who was, like I said earlier, sorry to cut you off there. The same dude I said earlier, when it came to like the whole like, well, they were mean to me in this when I my World of Warcraft, and it shows that they can be rude. I've never said women can't be assholes. I met women that I'm like, dude, go fuck yourself. Like, you're a dick.
My ex-wife was a cunt, dude.
Yeah, like, dude, I have met women who are just like, yeah, they're just pieces of shit. And guess what? Like, that's just how people are. But like, you're painting the picture of all of them. And I heard someone say when something like this happens, right? When it's like when a woman is being mad to someone, right? Or when like a black person gets angry and attacks someone. And you always find it interesting, and I'll land on this. There's a saying saying when it's a white person, it's an individual. When it's a minority, it's a collective.
I've never heard that before, but that's so fucking accurate.
It is. It's just like, well, all women just want to go fucking do whatever they want. Okay. Like, imagine being mad because, like, I'm like, you're just mad because you're not picked, bro.
Well, it's like
you're mad because the women the women that are probably around you or in your life don't want anything to do with you. Because you're just not a good person in general. You're not going there with being like, hey, damn, dude. Like, if I found out, let's say my wife's sister's boyfriend passed away, I would be I'd be like, damn, dude, that's fucking awful.
Yeah.
But like, if the fact that you're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. So anyways, I was thinking that we could argue, like, no.
Yeah, no, it's genuine. Like, I have a I don't know if I'll call it a passion project is probably the best way to put it. But I have an obsession with debating incels because I used to be one, right?
I used to be
one of the big things about me, as you probably discovered through this conversation, is I used to be a not good person. I said racist things, did racist things. I was an incel. I said misogynistic things. And if you put 16-year-old me in front of current me, I would beat the shit out of him until he was dead. Genuinely, I cannot stand what I was. And so I'm always so deep in the incel conversation because it's like, God, I see what I used to be. And I hate seeing that happen to so many of you, because the reason you're lonely, the reason you don't have anybody is because you're a horrible fucking individual. Like, I made a TikTok today about it. I was like, I'm not, the greatest looking guy. I'm not good looking. I know I'm not stupid. I'm like a 4.5, maybe a solid 5, right? I get it. But I have multiple women right now who want to date me. And they want to date me because I'm not a piece of shit. Right. And it's just so easy to not be, because like you've run into people like that where you don't want to date, the incel directly. It's like you've had people who wanted to date you who you didn't want to date because you didn't like their personality. So why can't you apply that logic to the rest of the world looking at you, and then take some time to reflect on who you are as a person? Right. I am so big on second chances and growing as an individual. I'm so down for that shit. I want people to grow.
I love that. Like,
but you're never going to grow if you don't try.
Exactly. And I think that's what happens with a lot of them, is that if, you can move about it, but you have to first you have to recognize your own faults. You have to recognize your own weaknesses. Like, you have to recognize where you're going wrong, because this process is not one that's going to take days, months. It'll take sometimes years. Like, there's still moments where I sit there and I'm like, I hear something and I'm like, why am I getting upset with this? Like, let me go figure this out. Like, I readjust the way I'm thinking. And so that's why like a lot of them it comes down to just relearning. You have to like learn where your weaknesses are.
Yeah.
You have to learn that like it's okay that like yeah, it's like for right now, one of the things that was into my head that I had to unlearn was the whole breadwinner thing. My
Yeah.
mom, dad kind of talked about that, and so it was in my head, you know. But like you know, you hear people like, "Got to be the breadwinner." My wife, she just got the job today. So like she told me about that before we just started. She just got the job today. She's gonna be a pharmacist. She's gonna be a pharmacist at one of these places. So we got to figure out about our living situation, and all that. I'm the one staying home,
Yeah.
you know. And so it's like, well, you know, it's like, well, your wife is the breadwinner. Goddamn, she better fucking be. She went to school for it. Like I'm like, you didn't go to school for fucking how many years ago? Now have this happen to you?
Yeah.
You know?
And dude, I love being a stay-at-home dad. When I was with my ex-wife, she was the breadwinner, and I cooked, I cleaned. I say stay-at-home dad. We had a dog and a cat, but you know, they're my
Good
children.
enough.
Yeah, no. Every time my mom's like, "When are you going to give me grandchildren?" I point at my cat, and I'm like, "He's right there." And then she spoils him like a grandchild.
That's funny.
So you know, I cooked, I cleaned, I made sure that she always had a meal on the table when she got home. I did the house husband duties, and I liked doing that. And I think it's weird to berate people who you know reverse the roles. I think it's
Yeah.
I don't understand why you would ever do that, man. Just fuck it. If the couple is happy and nobody is in any kind of danger, why would I give a shit?
Yeah, why? And that's why I think I'm like as I you know, and as I get older, and this is you know, we're like 20 weeks in, right? So like before my son gets home, so like we're like, damn, this is actually coming more and more real,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And it's like I get the position of being able to raise like my son. I
Mm-hmm.
am excited for that. Like I get to see when he starts to walk. I get to see his first, you know, hear his first words. I get to be there for all of that.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not saying like my wife is not going to be happy about that, of course, but like I get to be the one to do that, you know. And there's stuff about where it's like that stuff gives me excitement. And the men I believe who will be the ones most successful are the ones who can accept the fact, learn the emotional intelligence of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, emotional intelligence means don't be you don't have to be a doorstep or a doormat.
Yeah.
Like, no, if a woman's coming up and saying something like to you that you're like, yo, you don't get to talk to me like that.
Yeah.
It just, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, or like, you know, she's upset about something or whatever. Like, you stand your ground. You hold
Mm-hmm.
firm.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's something that as a man, it's really good to have to know when
Yeah.
you're like enough. It doesn't matter if the person is, you know, a man or a woman, or like, no man, if it's a woman or not. I'm not going to let you talk to me this way. And
Yeah.
like that's something that is really good to understand. You just you don't have to go like 12 rounds right afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that like those, you know, learning the emotional intelligence, learning your own limitations and how to work past them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being able to recognize that like every person is different. Like
Yep.
with the all woman, all, you know, all men do blah blah blah. Yeah, sure, you're gonna hear it from women, but you have to also read between the lines of why they say that. Why they say that because they're probably frustrated with something.
Yeah. And
You know?
I think that the emotional maturity is honestly a human flaw at this point. Something that I talk about a lot is that I call it the marginalized paradox, where a marginalized group of people is so used to systems of oppression that they kind of ignore their own behaviors that are toxic because I mean they've got bigger problems to deal with. And I get that. I understand that.
Mm.
But I think that humans in general have a lack of emotional intelligence because of how society raises both men and women, right? It raises men to hoard everything, bottle it all in, never cry, never talk about your feelings. There's the incel red pill propaganda of, oh, if you tell a woman your feelings, she'll just use it against you every time. And that's just not how all women work. But then on the opposite side, you have women who were socialized to be the people pleaser. And so their emotional maturity, instead of snapping in anger one day, often devolves into them just disconnecting themselves from the other person. Like when my ex-wife and I separated, she admitted to me that like 6 months before we broke up, she had already broken up with me in her head. And so we when we separated, it didn't affect her. She was dating someone else in like a month. I was crushed for 2 years.
Yeah,
And
I can
it's
understand
it's one of those things where if she'd have had the emotional maturity to just end it when she was ready, I could have healed faster. And I think that a lot of women don't, because they just want they want the guy to be happy, because they're taught to. I'm not going to mince words here. They are taught by society, by the news, by media, that men are dangerous when you hurt their feelings. Men will kill you. And so a lot of them, they don't know how to communicate properly because men don't have the emotional maturity to handle the communication, and women don't have the emotional maturity to say what's on their mind. And it leads to this devolution where we've invented these words like weaponized incompetence, which does hold some validity. But at the same time, sometimes the guy is just ADHD. I'm not fucking with you here. Like, I've seen some of these weapon, like putting, okay, oh, we cooked food and we have it in a pot. Okay, put the food up. And then the woman opens the fridge and there's the pot is in the fridge. And they're like, what is the man doing? And I'm like, I do that.
I would be different because if I like saw the big ass pot in the fridge, I'm gonna be sitting there and be like, look at my wife, be like,
I do it all the time. I hate doing dishes, dog. I would use paper pots if I could. Fuck the dishes.
Paper pots.
You know, so like I don't do Tupperware and all that shit. I just put the pot, and then when the food gets low enough, you know, if I make a big pot of like goulash, and then when it gets down to like there's only like maybe 2 servings left, then I'll put it in some Tupperware or something, you know, or if I need the pot. But you know, it's stuff like that, or like folding towels. Like for me, I fold them once horizontally or vertically, I don't know, long ways, and then I roll it. And my ex-wife hated that shit. She was like, that's not the proper way to fold towels. You got to fold them in thirds. And I'm like, no, that's the way you fold them. You know what I mean?
Why don't fold them in thirds?
Yeah, yeah. I roll them up, like that's how I fold. That's how I fold clothes. Like my shirts, I put them in half and I roll them. And
I don't like that at all.
You know, like it's like, and so that's what I'm talking about. Where like there's this disconnect between emotional maturity. Like I think of the two sexes, men need more emotional maturity training. But I think that a lot of women have these toxic traits about them that they don't realize because they're in a patriarchy. And the patriarchy is more important to deal with. And I understand that. But I think that at the same time, we as people, I was going to make a video about this a while ago. I ended up not doing it. I hate the gender wars. I hate them so much because there's so many problems on both sides of the gender spectrum that we don't acknowledge because we're too concerned about who has it worse. Right? Like you talk about, oh, men have trouble dating because we're often seen as disposable and we're not, you know, how many times have you heard the phrase, I saw a hot woman the other day and she was with the ugliest man and I just don't get it.
I saw you do a video about that. Yeah. Like you talk about like why the woman, that woman was just like, why is like this woman who's super attractive being with some dude who's ugly?
Yeah. It's, you know, you see that all the time. And it's like, you know, so men are often seen as the less attractive gender, even though, you know, a good population is straight women and they're obviously attracted to us in some kind of capacity. You know what I mean? But, you know, so they have that trouble. But then women have the trouble where there's just too many guys who see them as sex objects and they don't see them as real people, and they see them as a future wife who's going to just take care of the home and take care of them and all this other shit. And I don't understand why, even though the woman's problem is 10 times worse, we can't focus on both. We can't focus on both making it to where men are more, you know, socially accepted. And like men's fashion, for example, is atrocious. It's absolutely, you have the underdressed boyfriend with the overdressed girlfriend. You know why? It's because men have plaids, button downs, and polos, and that's fucking it. That's all we have, dude. I'm so sick of it.
We don't have good fashion senses. Like I you know, I think I think also the thing too is like, because when we focus on it puts, I would say the reason why, and this is just my theory on it, is because it puts, when we focus on men's like emotional maturity, and put it on there, it creates a safer environment for women so we can focus on those things. because until we can get men to a point where they're not like blowing the fuck up and actually like murking every woman because they told him no, they they'll always have to put that woman will always have to be in that state of like, I just don't want to be near that.
Yeah.
So once we get them into a safer and like get women to feel more safer around the men themselves.
Yeah.
And this is why it's gonna come down. Honestly, I believe this, and it's kind of fucked up. It's gonna be this, it's like selective breeding thing at this point.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to basically, you're just gonna breed the fucking hatred out of it. Because we're seeing that right now. This is why we're seeing a lot of these men who are that are not, they're not in any relationship or blah blah blah, they're not having any kind of intercourse or anything like that. The reason why is because women don't want to be around you. So when they don't, and then they're getting into their 20s and then their 30s and up and being like, well, they just don't want to be around, blah blah blah. Yeah, no, they don't. But also we have a society that also tells them that their problems are not theirs.
Yeah.
They tell them that their problem, the reason why your problem is because they're being too much. They're doing too much. You know what I mean? They're being, and so it's like, until we can get at least one to a safe spot, then we can be like, all right, like, I'm glad that you feel safe around them because y'all got some issues, you gotta work through some.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. I agree. I 100% agree that we need to definitely fix the current problem that we're having of men. I think I see it as we can do both at the same time, but we need to do both at the same time while having a larger focus on the bigger issues. So like I compare it to, like I was talking about earlier, I talk a lot about fat men's issues. I think we need to focus on how fat women are treated as a danger by insecure men, because these men love fat women, but they don't want to admit they like fat women. And so when they're talking on the internet and the guy gets this idea in his head that the woman's not fat, she shows up and then he bully and abuses her and all of this other stuff. I think we need to focus on making sure that fat phobia is, reduced, and that fat women are protected from aggressive men.
Especially black women too.
Yes. Oh my God. Misogynoir is horrid.
It is.
It took me a long time to figure out why, but I think I got it the other day. It's because black women face racism, misogyny, and anti-blackness all at the same time. And I don't think that people realize there's a difference between racism and anti-blackness, because anti-blackness is built into American culture and society. And it's because like they are specifically like anti-blackness is so prevalent that even people of color are anti-black, even though they face very similar things. Like the negative perception of black people is so deeply ingrained in this culture that I think even black people have to unlearn anti-blackness.
They do.
Like it's horrid.
I'm an example of that, because where I grew up around people who were white. I had three black kids in the entire school system, so everyone I knew around was white. Very conservative leaning town anyways. So it was very much a lot of my views, that only time I saw of it was people who were, MTV, MTV, that's where I saw it. So I didn't want anything to do with like being black, because I associated all that stuff with just being black in general. And I went through and I hated myself for it. So I was through a lot of anti-black. Like, I mean, I could talk like this, but my voice sounded like this the entire time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Damn motherfuckers. Like, it was like that every, and that's what I sounded like when I started to think about it. And so we moved, me and my wife moved so she could go to, when she went to college, and I had a choice to stay and I had a choice to go. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going with her. I was like, I don't want to be in this fucking town anyways. And so like, we went down there for 3 years. We lived down there, and I sat there and I learned a lot from people. Like I learned like the different, completely different struggles that I appreciate those people to this day. And I learned about that. I learned more about it. And I spent time on it. And obviously TikTok helped too. I went through TikToks, and I would sit there and I would learn, I would listen. and it changed my opinion to the point where it started changing. It changed how you view people. Like I hear things differently, you know, where
Yeah.
like where people were just like, well, it's I don't know why you changed, blah blah blah. It's because I started became woke, bro. I became
Yep.
alert. I became alert of what was actually going on in my country instead of just burying my head in the sand, and I started losing people from it, and I was like very much like, yo, I can't stand it. Like you guys think I'm the same person, but I'm not. You
Yeah.
know, I was
And
very much an Uncle Ruckus for quite a while, and to be able to stand there and say that I'm not that way, like I would do whatever I could to go. I would love to go back 20 years and fix that shit.
mhm.
You know what I mean? I'd also like to go back 20 years so I could actually make some better choices. But like,
Yeah.
but like, it is what it is what it is. And so I learned about it now. And so when I'm very much the people that I've learned to be around me, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling for me as just a man, as a black man, and just being just a better person in general.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, my wife would have dipped a long time ago. I wouldn't have a kid like something like that. No, my wife
Mhm.
would have dipped a long time ago. I mean, my wife is half white. She's half white. She's half Turkish.
Mhm.
She's faced. She still has a slight accent. She's faced stuff like her own version of like racism, that kind of stuff like that.
Yep.
She's faced that kind of like, because like I said, she's in an interracial relationship. So you know, she's also a bigger woman too. So I
Mhm.
got that, like, oh my god, this is who you're dating, and I'm like, yeah, she loves
Yep.
me.
Yep.
Like, and at the end of the day, that's all that fucking matters.
Mhm. And
Like,
it's yeah.
yeah,
Hey,
she,
dude, and like that thing about losing people as you grow progressive is so true. And sometimes you're surprised at who you lose. My best friend for 14 years was a black man, and one day he told me, he said, you become the white knights that we used to make fun of. And I was like,
mhm,
brother, I became that way because of you, because I love you, because I saw what you had to deal with. What do you mean? like
right,
I was there when you got followed around a store for no reason. I
mhm,
was there when people would scrunch their nose up at your hair texture. I was there when we would hang out and people would call me a race traitor for being your best friend. Like I was fucking there. Like why would I not fight for social justices? Why don't you? And it just, and I thought back on our childhood together and our teenage years, our formative years. We were the anti SJW, make fun of progress and woke culture type of deal. Like I was never fully right wing, but I was like center right, and so was he. And we get close to our 30s and he's still that way and I'm not. And it was it kills me to walk away from him because I love him with all my heart. He was my best friend for years. He was the first person I ever told about my sexuality. He was like, when I got essayed by a woman in high school, he was the only one who believed me, and cut ties with her and stuff. And but it's just like it's one of those things where unfortunately, part of being progressive, part of being left leaning, and part of growing out of that mentality is you're going to lose people, and it sucks. And they're going to be people you deeply love and care about, but you
mhm.
can't save everyone.
No, and I think interesting is something that my parents are, because I was adopted, so like my parents are both white.
Mm-hmm.
And I met my birth mom and my brother and stuff like that, and I love them dearly. And like, when it's crazy because like when I came back and like the stuff I was telling my parents like said there like we were just waiting for you to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's nothing like because they're like, as people who are white, there's nothing we can tell you about this, about the stuff that goes on. We were aware, like they were ready to move. If our town would have been like more like would have been like racist towards me, which they were in their own ways,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't figure that out till later. But like, um, they were ready to just pack up and move
Yeah.
to make sure that I was going to be okay. And then that's why they're like, when you were, a person who was right wing and right wing and they're left wing people, and I go talk about it. And I'm like, this is what's stuff that's going on. This is what I pay attention to. Why I pay attention to it. I'm like, especially because I have a kid on the way that's going to
Mm-hmm.
be mixed, and so my goal is to make sure that my kid lives a fun, healthy life, but also in a world that's not going to try to fuck him over every
Yeah.
5 seconds. So I understand that kind of stuff, you know. And so I told her, like, I worked through that, and that's what they were like. I'm glad that you've gotten to this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I wouldn't be that way, one, if it wasn't for my wife to help me out.
Yep.
You know, and I was like, two, I sat there and I would get pissed when I would see like feminist lives or TikTok, you know, like TikTok live debates, and then I just sat there one day just thinking about it. And why am I getting mad at this?
Yeah.
And I don't remember what really pushed it. Oh, it was the fact that I was getting upset over seeing this woman who was talking about sales and how much money she making. It's relating to me because it's making me think breadwinner.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't even fucking like sales.
Yeah.
I fucking hate it. Like, I was like, why am I getting pissed?
Yeah.
And so like, it just started, like, I started to start thinking and just restart going through my process. And it's a never-ending process because that's years of indoctrination.
It is, and
years.
it's so, for me, the turning point was recognizing that I was using my own experiences to fuel my perception of other people's. So like I was trigger warning for anybody for sexual assault. I've been raped 3 times in my life. Twice by men and once by a woman. And the woman was when I was a teenager. She was 18, I was 16. And every time I would tell that story, what's the first reaction? Oh, you're so lucky.
You should be lucky.
Yeah, where were those women when I was around? And I felt horrible because, especially the story behind it, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but basically she was a friend, and she was the kind of girl that hated when men in her life gave other women attention. So I wanted her advice to ask out this girl in my class, and her response was to drug me and, you know, and film it and then send it to the girl I wanted to date and tell her that I was lying about liking her. Yeah, it was fucking wild, dude.
Holy shit.
So, but throughout my life, what would happen is it wasn't just the men who invalidated me. It was the women in my life as well. It was women who would tell me, oh, wait, that can't happen to you. You can't be forced into it, you know? And so I became like anti-feminist. I was one of those Tumblr people that was like, I'm not a feminist. I'm an egalitarian. You know what I mean? I don't know if you were on Tumblr, but it was a horrible.
No, but I've heard it.
So I was one of those people because I was letting my experience. I was getting sick of watching all the blame for rape culture get put on men. And at one point, somewhere in like my early 20s, I'd say 21, 22 years old, I woke up, so to speak. Stay woke, woke up. I woke up and I realized that I can fight for women's issues and fight for my own. I can fight against rape culture and the way women participate in it while also fighting to close the wage gap, to make women more socially acceptable, to make sure that men don't see them as objects, to stand up for them. I can stand up for them while standing up for myself. And I think what keeps a lot of people on the right and the center right isn't necessarily their morals or convictions. It is the misunderstanding that you can fight for other people's problems along with your own. You can fight for better rates in divorces or joint custody or the stigmatization against men while also fighting to dismantle the systems of oppression that, let's be honest with ourselves, are the reason you're facing those issues. It is the patriarchy as to why I face the issues I do as a male victim of a female rapist or a male victim of female domestic violence or an emotional abuse. It is because as a male presenting person, I am expected to handle all this shit and I'm expected to be the abuser. So I can't be the victim. And that's all that system that's hurting me is hurting women too. The system that hurts me as a poor white person who can't make any money is racism. It's that I have to dismantle it because even if it wasn't human empathy for what Black people, Asian people, Mexican people, immigrants all go through, you know, even if it wasn't that, it's affecting me too. Racism's fucking me over, bro. I can't afford to eat and pay the rent. And it's because racism is in our fucking country.
Wasn't it the saying that like colleges used to be free until, I don't remember if this is true or not, but I remember seeing something saying colleges used to be free until Black people started wanting to actually like join in with college, and then it's a bar that gets set, which I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't looked into it, but I
I
have
haven't
heard
looked
that
into it
phrase.
either, but I might. But I wouldn't be surprised at all,
Yeah.
because once inclusion starts, it eliminates the what's that word I'm looking for? The privilege. It
Yeah.
eliminates the privilege.
What's the saying? How's it go? Position when you're in a position of privilege, equality feels like oppression.
Yes, that's what's happening. That's why there is such a push. I believe in, even personally, I don't believe in this push in our country right now. That's why so many people are like, well, what about blah blah blah? They
Mhm.
attacked everything in the book. If black people could lose their rights right now, they would. You have
Yep.
these old like white pastors who are talking about repealing the 19th Amendment.
Mhm.
It's just like it's trying to push back into like this era, and it's so, and that's why I sit there and I'm like, I I there's you we want to build, because it's not going to happen in my lifetime, and I'm
No.
aware of that. But I want I look at it for my son. I look at it for, if my friends' kids.
Mhm.
But one of my close friends, they are the type that are kind of, they're white too, but they're kind of like put the head in the ground kind of thing. And I've been very more like, hey, you need to do this,
Yeah. And
not just for
it's
yourself, but do it for these. Because I'm like, when you have a kid that's gay.
yeah.
I was like, I don't want to see your kid all of a sudden lose their right to basically exist, because one day you'll sit there and be like, damn, I wish I could do more.
Well, and that's I had to tell that to my granny. My granny, she's not my biological grandmother. My biological grandmother's a twat. And when my granny found out about how shittily my biological grandmother treated me, she basically brought me into her family. So it wasn't, she was my babysitter, and she brought me into her family. So her, they're my aunts and uncles, my cousins, those are all her blood relatives. And I've always been treated as just her oldest grandchild. And when Trump started rearing his ugly head, my granny did what old white women in the South do and thought that he was the bee's knees. And then I had to start pointing out to her all of the things that he did that affect me, like, anti-LGBT laws and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's who you voted for. And sometimes that's what it takes. It takes them, my dad was homophobic my whole life. He died back in 2019. And when I was bi, I never came out to him because he would always talk about, oh, gay men are so disgusting. They're nasty. I can't believe they do that kind of stuff. And when about 2 or 3 months before he died, I was sitting with him and we were watching one of his Western movies. He loved his Westerns. And I just decided to tell him. And he pulled me in after about an hour and he said, I'm so sorry you had to listen to me talk about you like that. Um, it struck him that every time he talked about gay men and how disgusting they were, he was talking about his son. And it's a similar story for my granny with my dad. He's not my biological dad. We don't know who that is. He's just the father that stepped up. And I've always been his baby boy, his youngest son. And so I think that realization that his youngest son, he was talking about me, it strikes him sometimes. And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't fucking matter to these people. But that's sometimes what you got to tell them. It's
Mhm.
affecting people you love and care about.
Yeah,
And this is how.
no, I agree, and that's like where at the end, like when it does, and the time when it does affect them, because you wanted to tell them now before something happens where it does affect you.
Mm-hmm.
Where like things actually come around, and at that point they'll sit there and be like, oh, I didn't, and I'm like, I don't want to hear anything from you. There's a difference between being uneducated and being ignorant.
Yeah.
And like, I think a lot of people are uneducated.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people are uneducated. They don't actually understand what they're voting for. They don't understand what they're cheering for. They don't understand what they're looking for.
Yep.
It's no different than a person that's like on a sports team, playing, like you're cheering for your favorite sports team to them.
Yeah.
And it's not the same like that, because the difference between the sports team and this is that something could happen and all of a sudden I can't get my, I can't do my rights.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, something happens and damn, now I'm drinking in a separate water fountain.
Yeah.
All because people are living and want an era that really never existed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the hard thing about it, is like the era never really existed. And that's why I want, like, that's why I, even when I bring it all the way back around, that's why, like, I want to build a place where people have community for whatever, and
Yeah.
that's what I love about gaming itself and just the nerd culture in general, because nerd culture is for everyone.
Yeah.
It's everyone's spice. It's not just one person's. It's not just one group of people's. It's for everybody to enjoy. And if that bothers you, then I guess there's the door.
Yeah.
But like, I think all of us could learn a lot when it comes to just, we're all in this together. But it's gonna take everybody to, that's what I was talking with someone about when they were talking about, like, well, why can't we come to like a compromise? I'm like, because he's white too, and I was like, because y'all never compromised. You just took. I was like, how are you gonna compromise with someone who already had that's like me saying, like, I want to compromise with a homeless person. What do I have that? What I have something that he doesn't have.
Yeah.
So what am I supposed to compromise? And I was like, it's not compromisation. Compromisation isn't a word, but I'm going to use it now. But like, compromise is not compromising. It's basically submitting.
Yeah.
You don't want to compromise, because compromise will require you to put work in to figure that out. What you want is people to just lay low. You want them just to submit. You want them just to be quiet.
Yeah. And it's like, it's this whole thing, I say it all the time. We need to make Nazis afraid to be Nazis again. Like, I'm sorry, but like, Trump's elected. I cannot engage in rational discourse with someone who thinks that Nazis have the right to spew their bullshit without getting punched in the fucking face.
It's not even, because I agree 110%. It's not even Nazis. I can never sit here in good conscience feel good about a person who is okay with letting people who look like me, people who are LGBT, whatever they're a person, a minority is, right? And just being okay with letting them suffer so that we can go be buds.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with that. And I'm like, and if you are, then you're not the person that I want to be in my life. It's not, and it's not a fact of being like, oh, you just don't want to. No, it's the fact that you're okay with letting people hurt. And if you're okay with letting people hurt, that's a moral. We're getting to, we're getting to an issue where it's moral issue. What's good, Fused? Damn, bro. Did you get a new change on your PFP? Because I don't know what FZ means. What does the Z mean? Is it like Dragon Fuse Z?
Z is just a cool letter, man.
It is a cool letter. It's even better. Actually, what is the Z on Dragon Ball Z, by the way?
I think it's honestly just a cool letter. I don't think it means anything. I think it's just like we had Dragon Ball and now we've got Dragon Ball Z. Right?
That's fair. Yeah, you think about it, like, why is there a Z?
Like, I guess they just wanted to stop from calling it Dragon Ball 2. I guess
Dragon Ball 2, 2 balls.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's there's a lot that's gonna change, and I'm excited for where it does, because I believe that like there's a lot of optimism coming in, and the people who aren't on board with it are eventually just gonna have to learn to deal.
Yeah,
because like I see it too. Like I see where like I see like a future where there's going to be a lot different views when it comes to the people who rule on, like, I don't rule, but that's a real word, but who try to quote unquote lead the parties. Yeah. And I after all of this, and I didn't watch the State of the Union last night.
I didn't either. I feel like I would have went mentally insane, honestly.
I didn't, because I actually completely spaced it, and then I was like, oh, that's right, it's on, and then I went and did a TikTok live. So I was like, I'll catch up on it in a bit later. But like
every time I watch that man speak, I have to stop every 2 minutes and scream, "What the fuck are you talking about, bro?"
It's what gets me about it is it's not just, and I tell him it's not just him, it's the whole administration.
It's his whole administration.
Like when if you bring in a person who is okay with watching like everybody who's not white just die, I'm not going to look at you and be like, well, there's some things that he did. I'm like, no. Because that attacks me. That attacks people that look like me. That attacks people that doesn't look like me, but they're still like, people who are struggling.
Yeah.
Like, how, you know, it's like you brought that into your I don't know if you saw that video of the dude who was, I forgot what his name was, but he's like, he was talking about the erasure of white culture, and the one of the, I think it was one of the Democratic senators were like, what is white culture? And
Yeah.
he couldn't fucking answer it.
Yeah. Because like I, you know, and if there's people out there that are confused, I'm a historian, for those who don't know. I actually studied history and I was a teacher's aide and I was going to get my degree, but you know, poor boy from the ghetto, what are you going to do? College is expensive. And so historically speaking, the reason we have black culture and not white culture, because a lot of times when you say, what is white culture? People go, oh, Germans. No, that's German culture. Oh, the Swiss. No, that's Swiss culture. You know,
Nationality.
yeah, the reason we have black culture and not white culture is because black people through slavery lost their culture. They lost everything. And so they had to build, when we say black culture, we're not referring to a black man in the Caribbeans or a black man in Somalia or Egypt. We're referring to black Americans specifically because that is where they had to rebuild their culture. That is why we have black culture, but we don't have white culture because white people didn't have to rebuild shit. If you want to know what your culture is, go back in your family heritage. You're going to fucking find it because your documentation wasn't erased. Your shit wasn't burned and buried and drowned. You got it, dog. You're Irish. You got Irish culture. There's no such thing. White culture, white American culture, unfortunately, is racism. And I don't know about other white people, but I don't want to protect that. That's not something I want to stick around.
No, I'm good with that, fam.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of it, I'm good with that. But I'm gonna wrap up here with two real quick questions for you.
Sure, of course.
First one is always, where can they find you here?
Jojo R. Kaiser on basically every platform. YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. Just JOJOR and then KAISER is always the best places to find me. Instagram, yeah, it's Jojo R. Kaiser everywhere.
I like realize like I fucking like punch like the keys. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's like I just have no like there's no like finesse with my things. Like I am like I'm trying to hurt the letter T right now. But then in the last one I like asking people is watching the stream and playing, is that Battlefront 2? Also not to be racist, although I don't like clankers. Well, I mean if you I like us clone meat bags. Bad Star Wars rep. You're all good. You're all good. I get it. That was one of my things when I said about like explain your what's it called? Your favorite video game poorly. Mm-hmm. And it was it was like a furry and a clanker fight capitalism. Ratchet and Clank. So and so it was I loved, I don't know why. I'm not a big fan of the whole clanker thing, but it is, it's just another way for people to be racist towards someone. But it is also like, is it Battlefront 2? Yeah, Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2. Wait, which Battlefront 2 though? Which Battlefront 2? Are we talking about the old Battlefront 2 on the OG like Xbox and like PlayStation days? Or are we talking about the one that DICE made? Yeah, I know it's Star Wars Battlefront 2. I'm not gonna get mixed up with Battlefield. Like I know my game. You really came in here and like started coming at me, being like, I don't know my games. This motherfucker. But like my last question I always ask is, what does nerd culture mean to you?
Nerd culture to me is a solstice for people who were outcasted when they were growing up, and nowadays it is a community-driven collaboration of people who just want to enjoy traditionally nerdy things. I don't think nerd culture becoming mainstream has changed the fact that it is for the outcasts. It is for the people who were never very popular, even if it is popular now, and you shouldn't let popularity ruin that sense of connection.
Agreed. I love that one. So I've been asking, I've asked about, it's usually like gaming, but like I've switched it to nerd culture because I wanted to expand on stuff. So I appreciate you being here 110%, man.
I appreciate it. The conversation has been absolutely enthralling. I love stuff like this. So I appreciate you inviting me. My chat also loved it. They we're participating. I just don't read chat when I do collaborations, but everybody in chat said they absolutely enjoyed this conversation fully. It was very, very good.
I love that. I'm glad too. Like I'm always worried. I'm like, how do they feel on the other side? Like, is he gonna get off and be like, "Fuck this motherfucker"? Like,
yeah, dude. I did an interview with a guy one time when I was in DBD, and after it was done, I was like, I don't think he liked doing this very much. It's just like the most uninvested conversation I've ever had. I felt like I was hitting on a woman at a bar. No, I'm saying.
Damn.
Yeah.
Like I get that though. Like some people, or I do. Where there's been days where I usually every time I'm done, I'm like, okay, that was a really good one. Like the one I did yesterday was super good, and I was like, yeah, this is a really good one. You know, it goes sometimes. I felt there's one of them I'm probably gonna go get a hold of again, and want to talk to again because I felt so bad because I used to work overnights, and so I had to work overnights, but I couldn't go to sleep, so I had to do it at like 8:00 at night.
Oh,
and so I'm trying to stay up while and I can just see. I was just kind of watching it a bit, and I could see in my face I'm just fading in and out.
Yeah,
like the eyes are glazed. I feel so bad. I had someone else in there being like, "Bro, you look like you're so uninterested." I'm like, "That's just my natural face. Like my natural face. Like I look like I just could give a fuck about everything."
Yeah,
but no, like it's like I have to like actually talk and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, I got like I don't have like resting bitch face or anything like that. I got like resting I don't care face. Like it's kind of like I always joke about I think it's Ice Cube that has a face that he just makes the face like, the face that will make you feel stupid despite the fact that he could be proud of you, and you just like and you're like, damn, I don't know what I did, but I fucked up.
Exactly. Exactly.
Alrighty, guys. But for those who also know too, Twitch and YouTube is where you can catch me on my streams and on these podcasts itself, because that's how you're watching this. For those also, TikTok is where you'll see a majority of my stuff. I have a bunch of shit to upload to like YouTube and Insta. I do like these batches where I make all of the videos throughout like pretty much almost like the whole month. There's a lot of videos like gaming videos outside you won't see, and then I'll just shove them all like towards the end, so I just have like a whole plethora of stuff that they're watching. But then you can also catch me on Instagram. You can also catch me on Threads, but I don't think anyone's even on Threads anymore. And then you could also catch me on. I have my own like page on the Facebook as well. So that's what you can catch me though. But for everybody else, you guys have a fantastic rest of the day, and as always, I'm Taylor from Afro OG, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Later.